Tactical espionage action. Metal Gear Solid Delta. Snake Eater. Konami is based. Konami gave us Pro Evolution Soccer, Contra, Castlevania, Gradius, Silent Hill, pachinko slot machines. When you start a new game, you are presented with a question. The answer you choose determines what will your starting camouflage be. MGS3 gives the Flecktarn camo uniform. Next question offers you a choice between Legacy Style and New Style, but do not be tricked. Legacy Style with a keyboard and mouse is crazy and borderline unplayable. It feels nothing like the original. Wrestling with unintuitive inputs and unpredictable camera to achieve a simple task of grabbing the backpack from the branch. Attempt to sneak up closer to crocodiles ends in disaster and abandoning of the Legacy Style.
Snake? Oh my god. Snake!
Small bonus of my attempt at the fun mode. I swear I was not drunk, it's just how erratic controls are.
3, 2, 1, start!
New Style makes the gameplay a comfortable stealth action. The aiming is smooth and everything feels just right. Sneaking, tranquilizing, sneaking some more. There's always a beehive when you need one. If you get spotted, an alarm will be triggered. To reduce the alert status to evasion and caution, simply tranquilize the NPCs and return into hiding. Casual gameplay for normies at normie difficulty. At highest difficulty, triggering the alert means game over. Eating rations. Eating snakes, as you are the snake eater after all.
I want some more.
Change camos to better suit the nearby area, like a chameleon. There's always a convenient crack in the wall to crawl trough. If sneaking and stealth are successful, you will be able to continue on with the story.
HQ. This is HQ.
Kojima is a wannabe movie director, Grandmaster Hack, the Tarantino of video games industry. Was making good games when Konami reined his desire to be movie director and leftism in. Now it's all Stranding walking simulator slop with holy wood slop for Americanized guys.
Are you one of Volgin's men? You'll never get it from me.
No. I'm a CIA agent. I've come to escort you back to the other side of the Iron Curtain.
You're CIA?
Yeah. I was sent by Major Zero, the man who got you out 2 years ago.
Zero?
Thankfully, the original story is unaltered and was not enhanced for modern audience.
Okay, all green.
Prepare for drop-off. Countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Spread your wings
And fly. God be with you.
It can be felt at every corner that Kojima obviously wanted to be a movie director.
The Cuban Missile Crisis.
October the 16th, 1962, President Kennedy received word that the Soviets were in the process of deploying intermediate-range ballistic missiles in Cuba. The President demanded that the Soviets dismantle and remove the missiles. At the same time, he announced a naval blockade to prevent further missile shipments from reaching Cuba. But the Soviets didn't back down, instead placing their armed forces on secondary alert. Soviet transport ships carrying missiles continued on course towards Cuba. US and Soviet forces went on alert for an all-out nuclear war. Frantic negotiations were conducted through the UN's Emergency Security Council and unofficial channels to end the hair-trigger standoff. Finally, on October the 28th, the Soviet Union agreed to remove its missiles from Cuba, and so the world avoided a nuclear holocaust. But in order to get the Soviets to pull their missiles out, we had to make a deal.
You mean the one where the US agreed to remove its IRBMs from Turkey?
No.
Divergence from history and the fiction of Sokolov. Educational video by Professor Jeffrey Sachs about Cold War, Cuban Missile Crisis, top secret information about withdrawal from Turkey that was undisclosed at the time of making the original game.
I wrote a book about one such episode, and that was the Cuban Missile Crisis and the aftermath in which the U.S. and the Soviet Union negotiated the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. And I wrote a book about John F. Kennedy's leadership from the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis through the successful negotiation and then Senate ratification of the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. And the essence of the story is that first, Kennedy understood that there was a win-win to peace, and there was a real risk of nuclear annihilation if Kennedy listened to the hardliners. Second, he understood, this is back in 1962 and 63, that Khrushchev, his Soviet counterpart, was in the same situation as he was, hearing from hardliners, but understanding it's too dangerous to go the hardline route. Well, Kennedy and Khrushchev found their way out of the Cuban Missile Crisis peacefully. Both sides withdrew short-range offensive nuclear weapons aimed at the other side, the Soviets from Cuba, the United States removing missiles from Turkey. The United States pledged never to invade Cuba again, a pledge that it maintained. And on that basis, the crisis was peacefully resolved. We know we came within a hair's breadth of nuclear war, actually, another long story. Even after the agreement was reached, a disabled nuclear submarine almost mistakenly and accidentally, in a way, triggered a nuclear war. So after those events, Kennedy and Khrushchev realized they had to do more than simply step back from the abyss. They had to pursue actual peaceful coexistence. And in 1963, they negotiated the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. Now, what Kennedy did was, first of all, understand pragmatically what kind of deal could be reached. He understood that a deal could be reached that would be in the mutual interest of both parties, and he pragmatically negotiated that. He did something else absolutely remarkable, which is why I wrote the book, by the way. He made a public explanation of peace to the American people, even a peace campaign in the summer of 1963. He gave a famous speech on June 10, 1963, called the Peace Speech, which I encourage everyone to listen to. It's one of the most remarkable speeches of modern history. After that, he embarked for Europe. That's when he appeared at the Berlin Wall, when he spoke to the Irish Parliament and so forth. He bolstered his backing in those weeks by public appeal. Then he faced opposition to this deal from his own Joint Chiefs of Staff. And they testified in a very unpleasant way to the Senate that, well, this is all very dangerous. You can't trust the Soviets and so forth. And Kennedy went on a public tour in the United States explaining it's no miracle, nothing is sure in this world, but this is the best bet. In the end, the Senate overwhelmingly ratified the treaty. That's statesmanship. Tragically, there's an endnote or a coda to this. Kennedy was killed a few weeks after that. You know, for a long time in my life, knowing a lot about this, I didn't take a stand on what actually happened, but I'd say in the last 15 years of very extensive reading and files being released and even new files released in recent months, I'm pretty convinced the CIA took him out and took him out because of his peace initiative.
The Jupiter IRBMs deployed in Turkey were obsolete, and we were going to get rid of them anyway. They had no strategic value whatsoever to either the US or the Russians. The Turkey deal was a ruse, a cover story that was fed to the other intelligence agencies around the world.
So what did the Russians really want?
Sokolov. They wanted us to return Sokolov.
You mean the Soviets pulled out of Cuba just to get their hands on Sokolov?
That's right.
What the hell was he working on?
At the time, we had no idea. We were running out of time. It was either give up Sokolov or risk full-scale nuclear war. In the end, we had no choice. President Kennedy gave in to Khrushchev's demand. The next day, I got Sokolov out of the hospital, handing him over to agents on the eastern side. Sokolov kept on screaming, "Save me," until he disappeared from my sight.
Some gamers would say that cutscenes are too long, but they do not understand. I would agree if it was a different type of game. But MGS, like Deus Ex and a couple other games, are merely a vessel to bring truth to the unenlightened masses. Similar goes for radio dialogue. It's a storytelling device integrated into the gameplay. Giving us character exposition about Sokolov, our motivation for the mission, human interaction, and setup for the plotline to make much more sense.
Freeze!
Revolver Ocelot.
We meet at last.
You're from the Ocelot unit of Spetsnaz. Huh. What's a crew soldier doing here?
Soldier?
Unreal Engine 5 Slop. Technically, the graphics are okay. Nothing special. A bit too demanding. A bit stutter. But in the end, they deliver what the game needs for gameplay to be enjoyable and for the story to be told proficiently. Recommended system requirement of 3080 as the GPU, and even exceeding the CPU requirement will not yield you the maximum graphics at 1080p. Check out benchmarkings for optimal settings. The drops from 60 FPS down into 50s are not interfering with gameplay. Going below the minimum system requirements for the GPU by using the RX 580 4GB and using a slightly older 6-core CPU, the R5 2600X results in a barely playable performance at 1366 by 768 using FSR quality upscaling and low graphics preset with mid textures, stuttery under 30 FPS experience in some areas, and stable 30 FPS, but with visible pixelation and artifacts in other. Technically, game is playable, but it's not even close to a comfy experience that the recommended specification computer provides. Recording with AMD hardware encoder does reduce the performance by around 4 FPS.
3, 2, 1, start. Gotcha.
Aesthetical perspective of graphics and the creative direction satisfactory. Crocodile-infested jungles of USSR made me smirk a bit. Overall, the aesthetics are suitable for the type of game and do not collide against the story. There is no ludo-narrative dissonance. Original voiceovers and voice acting were kept, and music and everything sound effect related is good.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That's supposed to mean?
Why'd you disappear on me all of a sudden?
I was on a top
Girl
secret
boss.
mission.
Once you see Jay
You
from
didn't
Jay
know
and
me.
Silent Bob,
But there were
aka
still so many
Jason
things I
Mewes,
wanted you to teach
you
me.
cannot unsee
No,
it.
I taught
Shows
you
how
everything
far
you
ahead of
needed
his
to know
time
about fighting
Kojima
techniques.
was,
I
even
taught you
20
all I
plus
could.
years ago.
The rest you needed to learn on your own.
Techniques, sure. But what about how to think like a soldier?
How to think like a soldier? I can't teach you that. A soldier needs to be strong in spirit, body, and technique. And the only thing you can learn from someone else is technique. In fact, technique doesn't even matter. What's most important is spirit. Spirit and body are like two sides of a single coin. They're the same thing. I can't teach you how to think. You'll just have to figure it out for yourself. Listen to me, Jack. Just because soldiers are on the same side right now doesn't mean they always will be. Having personal feelings about your comrades is one of the worst sins you can commit. Politics determine who you face on the battlefield. And politics are a living thing. They change along with the times. Yesterday's good might be tomorrow's evil.
Is that why you abandoned me?
No, it had nothing to do with you. I already told you, Jack. I was on a top secret mission. A soldier has to follow whatever orders he's given. It's not his place to question why. But you're looking for a reason to fight. You're a natural-born fighter, but you're not quite a soldier. A soldier is a political tool, nothing more. That's doubly true if he's a career soldier. Right and wrong have no place in his mission. He has no enemies and no friends. Only the mission.
In conclusion, the game is pure Kino. It's worth the price because the lessons in it are priceless. Final rating 88 out of 100. Snake Eater song composed by Norihiko Hibino and performed by Cynthia Harrell is copyrighted, so I will sing it out myself. What a thrill with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you, Snake Eater. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you, Snake Eater. I'm still in a dream, Snake Eater. Someday you go through the rain, and someday you feed on a tree frog. This ordeal, the trial to survive, for the day we see new light. I give my life, not for honor, but for you, Snake Eater. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you, Snake Eater. I'm still in a dream, Snake Eater. I'm still in a dream, Snake Eater.